G'day there guys, it's your Australian hubby Markee, back at it again with another r/legal advice video. Now on today's episode we have a lot of good long content that's going to challenge you, so sit back, relax, chuck another prawn on the barbie and get ready for this good content. From Michigan, USA. Considering suing my uncle after he intentionally fired an air horn meant for bears in my ear, and now I have what appears to be a permanent ringing in my ear. I have a big family, with around 20 cousins, 10 aunts and uncles, and several others who always show up to family reunions. I am a male in my 20s. Last weekend, we had a family reunion in a cabin resort in the woods. On the last night there, while everyone was sitting by the campfire, my uncle, by marriage, snuck up behind me and blasted an air horn about a foot or two away from the back of my head. This air horn was not a normal little one that you often see at sporting events. This campground has bears around, so they keep several large air horns around the place to be used to scare off a bear in case they get too close. As soon as he did it, everyone called him a jerk and got angry at him. He showed no remorse whatsoever. He laughed about it, telling us how he and his friends from work have blown air horns at each other before as a prank. I was so furious when it happened that I didn't know what to do. I sat there quietly stewing in rage for a while. I wanted to beat the crap out of him or hold him down while I emptied half of the air horn directly into his ear. But instead, I walked away eventually and spent the rest of the night in my room. It's important to know that this uncle was hosting this reunion. It's a corporate retreat campground that his company lets employees use. He clearly knew he screwed up because he attempted to apologize the next day, but it was a pretty crappy apology. While everyone was sitting down for breakfast, he snuck up behind me, put his arms on my shoulders and quietly said, "I heard your ears were ringing. Sorry about that." He didn't even say it to my face, or say it loud enough for anyone else to hear. I grumbled something about, "It's okay," but I absolutely do not forgive him. This happened last Saturday, a week ago. For the first couple of days, my ears were literally sore, and any loud noises were painful to hear. Since then, my ears have been constantly ringing. It's worst when I'm in a quiet environment, like trying to work or go to sleep. I hear this high-pitched sound that drives me nuts. Sometimes it'll start to subside, but it still comes and goes. I think I could have permanent hearing damage. This guy has been giving me crap since I was a young kid, so this is not a one-time occurrence, though this was definitely the worst thing he's done to me by far. I've contacted a personal injury lawyer in my area to learn about my options, but I figured some people here might have good info as well. I won't hear back from my lawyer until tomorrow at the earliest. Any info is appreciated. Suing my uncle would tear a huge hole in my family, but I really don't care about that if I end up having ringing in my ear for the rest of my life. It's interfering with my ability to sleep and work. Thanks for any help. Edit: I am seeing an audiologist and ENT this week. I will post an update here when I have one if the mods allow it. So, you start this process by seeing a medical professional for your ears. Your uncle would very likely be responsible for your bills, and could be held responsible for damage you suffered as a result of his arsehattery. I would also try to get your hands on the horn in question, and document the rating plate for the output, in decibels, and photograph any warning that may be attached. Try to get written statements from the relatives you trust as best as possible. Not an MD or lawyer, but this problem could go away with time. Most medical conditions that don't involve broken limbs or organs heal on their own. Human body is a wonderful thing. Endajaka says, he can pursue both sides independently. Absolutely he should get treatment for his hearing damage. He can also start talking to personal injury lawyers. One of the hard parts at this point in time is knowing what medical professionals he should be talking to, and what amount, if any, of medical damages he should be asking for. Maybe he accumulates $3,000 in medical bills after insurance covers their portion. So he asks his uncle to cover the $3,000 of damages that he directly caused, and they come to an agreement involving a lawsuit. But OP is still left with 50% hearing loss in one ear and permanent tinnitus, or tinnitus. How do you put a price tag on that? That's where a competent lawyer would come in, even if it never actually gets to a lawsuit. And now, update. Considering suing my uncle after he intentionally fired an air horn meant for bears in my ear, and now I have what appears to be permanent ringing in my ear. I promised an update, so here it is. First off, I want to thank everyone who strongly suggested I go to see a doctor ASAP. I went to see an ENT and audiologist approximately a week and a half after the incident occurred. My hearing test came back normal, which was very reassuring. The tinnitus was still quite bad, so I wanted to see if the doc could help with that. He put me on a steroid cycle for a week and a half, which just ended yesterday. I saw him again a week after the first visit, and we decided to try a steroid injection directly into both eardrums. This was a very unpleasant experience, as you can probably imagine. The ringing has gone down considerably, and I'm hopeful it will eventually be completely gone. It still bothers me at night and while I'm trying to work sometimes. The biggest problem lately has been these steroids cause insomnia, so I haven't gotten a good night's sleep in weeks. This has caused me to have to cancel a summer project, since at this point I'm far too behind schedule to complete it. My uncle has agreed to pay for all medical costs. I'm not planning on suing him. He knows he screwed up and was apparently crying on the phone when my parents called him to tell them what I was going through. My aunt has also had a really tough time since finding out the extent of the damage. I haven't talked to either one of them since it happened, and don't plan on talking to him anytime soon. They've offered to call me and apologize, but I don't want to talk to them. I just don't want to be around the guy after what he did to me. I'll probably end up spending some holidays alone, but I don't care. Freak that guy. Thanks for hearing my story and for all the advice. I would hate to get tinnitus like that. Jesus, I hope the guy's alright. But it does sound like his tinnitus will go down eventually and he'll be okay. But I can definitely understand harboring so much anger towards your family. It's not an easy thing to go through. And our next story, Virginia. Neighbor has threatened suing me and other new homeowners because we have devalued the neighborhood by buying homes at their current market value. Background info. I will try and make this as concise as possible. I'm in Northern Virginia, and my wife and I bought our first home in December 2014. According to our real estate agent, homes in Northern Virginia were worth a lot more in the spring of 2014 than they were in the fall/winter of 2014 and 2015. According to him, there was a mini housing bubble for a couple of months last year that crashed, and the Northern Virginia real estate market corrected itself. Also, I apologize, there's a difference in the audio quality there. My microphone was not placed the right way and I just fixed it, so that's probably why the audio changed. Anyway, today, homes are simply sitting longer and buyers are getting better deals than ever before. The townhouse we bought was originally sold 10 years ago, new construction, for $389,000. This June, it was listed at $415,000, sat on the market until late October, when it went under contract for $385,000. The buyers lost their funding and the home appraised at less than the agreed upon purchase price. The home fell out of contract the first week of November, and we made an offer of $370,000 that same day. We went to settlement on December 5th. The townhouse we bought is the largest of 4 model types, just shy of 3,000 square foot, an end unit, and is one of the small handful of end units that happen to have over 5,000 square foot of land. In total, there are, I think, 85 townhouses in this portion of our master planned community. All of the homes in the community that are for sale are still sitting at the pre-bubble price per square foot of around $155 per square foot. We paid around $130 per square foot. The meat of the story. So, it snowed here a few weeks ago, and I had the opportunity to introduce myself to a few neighbors as we collectively complained about clearing snow from our driveways and sidewalks. I attempted small talk with Douchebag. I will explain more about him in a minute, and he was generally unfriendly, but I chalked it up to him being pissy about the snow. Why is he a douchebag, you ask? Well, he drives a Range Rover, bumps very loud music through it at all hours of the night, when he typically comes home at 10 to 11 p.m., drives very aggressively in the neighborhood, etc. It's one of those, you know it when you see it kinds of things. Just take my word for it, he's a douchebag. Wonder if he's compensating for anything. So yesterday, I'm getting a few things from my truck, and see him and just make a friendly wave and say hello, make some small comment about the nice weather, and smile. He looks at me and becomes visibly pissed off, hands clenched, defensive position, Head turned cheery red. At this point, I simply ask him, big mistake by the way, if I have done something to upset him. Oh boy, he loses it. Long story short, he is overwhelmingly angry that I, among a few other homeowners, have devalued the neighborhood because we bought homes that he thinks are now below market value, and this is going to start a trend of a total devaluation of the neighborhood. In total, since mid-November, 4 homes have sold in and around the $360,000 to $370,000 range. All of them, including mine, went on the market in mid to late summer and were priced at spring level prices initially. Douchebag calls out the addresses of the other 3 homes and yells at me how much he thinks they should have sold for. He then goes on to discussing that the house they bought a few years ago is now underwater in value, as this seems to be the new trend around here, ... At this point, I am done with being yelled at in the middle of the street. Tell him to calm down and that I am heading inside. He then makes a series of comments where he more or less said that he had an attorney in the family who he was going to get help from, and file suit against the 4 new homeowners as we have devalued his property now. He is in the smallest model, middle unit with the smallest yard. My question/concern. I know someone can bring suit for anything. My concern is that he is actually going to follow through with this. I and my 6-month pregnant wife are worried sick that he's going to cost us a lot of precious time and money. A quick Google search does not reveal much of anything if there are any established precedents or successful cases of existing neighbors suing new homeowners because they got a deal on a home. In the event that I get served, what kind of attorney should I look for? Would this be something that my homeowner's insurance would help me deal with? Lastly, we have a pretty restrictive and responsive HOA. Should I let them know about this possible issue? Ethan JF999 says, he will get laughed out of court. You are under no obligation to overpay for your home to suit his sense of what market value of his own home is. I'm hijacking this top comment to say this. Yes, I agree with everyone. He almost certainly has no cause of action here, and any case he brought would be simply and quickly dismissed. That being said, anyone can hire a lawyer and file a lawsuit, and you will need to answer. That means you will have to spend money and time hiring an attorney to give this idiot the legal smackdown. If you ignore his lawsuit, he can win by default. So just make sure you don't totally ignore it. As others have said, you can file a claim against him for bringing in a frivolous lawsuit if you wish. Best of luck. Your Honor, I want to sue capitalism. I don't like this system. And now onto our update, guys. I have not interacted with him at all in any capacity, and as far as I know, he and his idiot kid have left pretty much everyone else alone until this weekend. I decided to hang my American flag this weekend on my front porch that I purchased at Costco the other week. Thanks, capitalism. The flag came rolled on the pole with some loose mounting hardware. I opened the package, leaned the flag against a rail, and went to work on the mounting rack. During the installation of the mounting bracket, the flag fell over and ended up with some mud on it. After the bracket was hung, I put the flagpole into its brackets, unraveled the flag, and hosed the mud off. Douchebag neighbor witnessed all this and started yelling at me for disrespecting the flag code, and went on and on about violating Title IV of the US code, whatever the hell that is. He came over to my side of the street and told me that I had to follow some sort of flag cleaning procedure, and if I did not, he would call the police for violating federal law and have me arrested. He went on to say the flag should be formally folded when not in use, that rolling it was disrespectful, and that I continued to disrespect the flag when I did not pledge allegiance to it when it was initially hung. I calmly explained to him that to my knowledge that the Supreme Court has ruled that I can do with the flag as I see fit, as any restriction of my actions with the flag would be a violation of my First Amendment rights. He then called me a fudging liberal piece of crap, and went back into his home. I then started some other yard work. I could not believe it. 20 or so minutes later, a marked cop car shows up outside of Douchebag's house, and he comes out to chat with him, angrily shouting and pointing at me and my flag. The cops come over to me and chat with me for a minute, asking if I was doing what my neighbor accused me of doing. I asked them what it was that he claims that I was doing. Here is what I supposedly did. dragged the flag around in the mud, desecrated the flag, insulted the flag, chose to not adhere to the flag code and Title IV, did not pledge allegiance to it. He also demanded that I be arrested immediately. And I also didn't break out into a ceremonial smoke dance like what he'd have me do, right? You know, respect the laws of the land and everything. We got a whole bunch of rules here to abide by. I laughed at them, told them what happened. They could see that the flag was still dripping wet, and went on to say that as far as I know, even if the accusations were true, they are protected by the First Amendment. They agreed and apologized for bothering me. All the while, I can still see douchebag in his driveway with a smug look/smile on his face the entire time that they're questioning me. Quietly, I ask them what they're going to do about this unnecessary trip they had to take because of the neighbor calling them. They pretty much said that there is nothing they can do. They will remind him that the First Amendment exists, and that I am not in the military/a government employee, and thereby not violating any laws. They told him not to call them back about it, and that was it. My question and concern: this is the second time now in 5 months that I've lived in this neighborhood where I have been involved with this neighbor plus the cops. I'm concerned about my reputation in the neighborhood. Would a restraining order be my next step? Is this even worth my time messing with the courts? Or will a judge decline my request? I am not really sure how to proceed at this point. I feel like this guy is targeting me for an unknown reason. All I ask is please keep posting. I have no helpful advice, but this guy is the amusing sort of crazy. Will do. I'm concerned about my reputation in the neighborhood. Me thinks neighborhood is aware of this guy as a loon, and your reputation is fine. Throw a barbecue and invite neighbors. For price of a case of beer, your reputation will be fine. Don't invite the loon. Would a restraining order be the next step? It could. I probably should advise such, but it wouldn't help. You have a loon. Sadly, the only real recourse is to watch till he crosses the line that gets him arrested. Is this even worth my time messing with the courts, or will a judge decline my request? That's on you. I think a judge would grant it once you tell the whole story. And someone says about the barbecue plan, solid plan, but I'd invite the loon too. This prevents him from deciding you're conspiring against him with the neighbors. He probably won't accept anyway, and in the extremely unlikely event that he does show up, there's a decent possibility of him causing a scene in front of a yard full of witnesses. Either way, I would do as user Grelly suggested and install some security cameras first. And now onto the update. And the plot thickens, with an out-of-control idiot teenage son, and the HOA being pretty ticked off. I know this is long, but trust me, it is well worth the read. Where to start? The other weekend, Northern Virginia got snow. Where I live, we got a lot of snow. Over 10 inches. I only have a lowly shovel. A neighbor I've never met owns a brand new, huge and powerful snowblower, and being the nice guy he is, he helps quite a few of us out in moving the mountains of snow that fell. I thanked him and told him I owe him a 6-pack of something delicious. After some polite, "Aw, nah man, you don't have to do that" comments, he told me that if I were to pick something up and he were not home, one could place a 6-pack in the latched decorative crate that is on his front porch, between the rocking chairs, and he would not object to finding a delicious treasure in there. He's a nice guy. That following Monday, 3 days later, I went to the grocery store, and among my items was my nice neighbor's 6-pack. I did as he said, put the beer in the crate on top of his porch, noticed his security camera, and waved to his security camera. On Wednesday evening, I saw douchebag McGee as I was pulling into my driveway. Hindsight, I'm fairly certain that he was likely waiting for me to get home. As soon as I get out of my truck, he starts shouting from across the street that I'll be going to jail for providing alcohol to minors. He goes on to say that he discovered his kid wandering the neighborhood wasted on late Monday night. I immediately put 2 and 2 together and realized that his son stole the beer from my nice neighborhood's front porch crate and drank it. I ignore him and walk right over to my nice neighbor's house and jokingly ask if he got the beers that I left him. He says he did not, and I tell him he may want to review the security camera footage for the last few days. He laughs and tells me that he already did that, and directs me to his garage, where he shows me his kids' damaged snow toys. Sleds, discs, tubes. From what him and I can piece together, I placed the beer in his crate in that evening. Douchebag's teenage son came onto his porch minutes after, stole the beer, kicked and left a dent and crack in the siding of the house, grabbed a sled and took off. We head into my nice neighbor's house to watch and review the security camera footage, and he shows me what he just described. Fast forward a few hours later, an obviously intoxicated teenager comes back with a broken sled and takes a disc and a tube from the side of the house and pees on the AC unit before leaving. About 20 minutes later, he is back with his empty bottles, smashes a few of them in the gutter, and puts the broken snow toys on the back side of the house. All of this happened when the nice neighbor and family was not home. At this point, I tell nice neighbor about douchebag's legal threats, and he decides that we should speak about him at that next night's, Wednesday, HOA meeting. I head home, ignoring douchebag's continuous yells from across the street. Wednesday night comes, and nice neighbor and I get up and address our problems with douchebag to the HOA. Nice neighbor starts by talking about the theft as well as the damage to his kids' toys and siding. I get up and discuss the legal threats made. At the same time, the other three new neighbors get up and grumble that douchebag had threatened them with a suit as well. One woman, a tiny waif of a woman, mind you, said that he cornered her against her car when she got home a few weeks ago. She went on to say that he seemed pretty drunk too. At this point, the HOA president, the attorney for the HOA, and the property management representative call for calm in the room. Other neighbors were getting mad and asked those of us who had been threatened by douchebag to stick around, including nice neighbor. According to my wife, while I was traveling for work this Monday, cops showed up at the nice neighbor's house in the late afternoon, took a statement, and a flash drive of the video. Nice neighbor came over to my house and told my wife that the HOA told him to go ahead and to call the cops to report property destruction and trespassing. The cops assured him that they are not interested in speaking with me, that they are going after this little crap because he is a problem at his high school, and that they are not unfamiliar as to who he is. Again, according to my wife, the cops then head over to douchebag's house, and after some yelling, Douche Jr. comes outside and they arrest him. My wife said they pulled out of his pockets what looks like a small bag of weed and a glass pipe. I got home late last night and received an email this morning from the HOA president addressed to me, nice neighbor, and the three other new homeowners. In it stated that they were made aware by the cops that they had arrested the teenager, and that the HOA attorney was looking into figuring out a way to stop the legal threats from douchebag. We were assured that there is no legal precedence for suing someone because they purchased something for less than you did, but nonetheless, they are here to help if need be. So that's where we sit. Now, Insomni Green says, I was honestly hoping that douchebag was going to threaten the cops and that he would get tased. If he's like that in the neighborhood, it's only a matter of time that he mouths off to the wrong person and he gets his butt beat. Plain and simple. Glad that you have really decent neighbors besides him. From someone else in the IT field to another, you've shown some pretty decent patience. Most of my patience was destroyed by end users. Sad face. Yeah, nice job on all accounts it seems. Nothing to add really, other than the best way to defend against an unruly neighbor is to involve the police as much as necessary. You have a right to a quiet enjoyment of your property, and he clearly is infringing on those rights. You can even place a restrictive order based on the threats should you and your family ever feel the slightest physical intimidation. Maybe invest in some cameras for your property if you don't already have them set up. Does anyone else just want to watch a whole movie of this entire saga go down? Like, that would be amazing. They sound ridiculously crazy, and I feel bad for that kid. I hope he gets the help he needs, but we always see where that goes, right? They don't usually go down a bright and sunny path, and I hope that, he does it peacefully if anything does happen. And our last story. Police officials are forcing me to cremate my daughter, non-US. Me, 45 female, daughter, who's 21 female, passed away about a week ago. I have no motivation to do anything. I've been talking to many police officials and doctors. I won't say how she died, but she went on a vacation trip and didn't come back. Her friends called me, and she passed away soon after. Police officers are urging me to cremate her body. I want to bury her, but they keep saying that it's not worth it, and they won't allow me to bury her because her body belongs to that country. They said the only way I can take her with me is if she's in ashes. I'm heartbroken. She vacationed in Mexico. I've tried looking this up, but I don't find anything credible. Can they legally make me cremate her? Edit. Thank you to everyone who took the time to reply, and anyone who sent their condolences. My husband and I never thought about contacting the embassy. We're relieved to know that we do have options. My daughter was a US citizen, and she was healthy prior to all of this. There's no reason why she can't be transported in my opinion. And Our American Baby says, I am so sorry for your loss. You need to contact the US Embassy in Mexico as soon as possible. Ask for American Citizen Services. They will help you repatriate the body. ACS will advocate on your behalf and do work with you on your paperwork. Ask them if you should fly down immediately, or if they can act on your behalf. If there is a US consulate nearby, ask if they can send someone to the hospital. Do not let her friend sign anything at the hospital. You should request an autopsy as soon as she is returned to the US. Good luck. Life just handed you a terrible card. I wish you peace as you grieve. Is anyone suspecting foul play here? Because that just sounds like a terrible situation, gosh. Anyway, that's going to round out the episode. I hope you enjoyed this one today. Tell me what you thought about it in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your opinion. And as always, I love your faces, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.